A lot of people hear carnitine and immediately think it's just about cutting weight or something only hardcore lifters care about. But they're only overlooking one of the most powerful roles in human metabolism and performance. Carnitine plays a critical role in how your cells turn fat into usable energy. Inside the mitochondria, the engine of our cells, it acts like a shuttle transporting fatty acid where they can be burned for fuel. This becomes especially important during exercise when your demand for clean, efficient energy is the highest. Now, when you use carnitine around workouts, you're not just hoping for more energy, you're giving your body the tools to create it. That's why it can make such a noticeable difference in performance, metabolism, and recovery. In my practice, I use injectable L-carnitine as a tool for men who are pushing the performance limits. Guys on TRT, athletes, or anyone who's just hit a wall in their training and wants to flip the metabolic switch into turbo mode. Based on the patient's need, I dose it anywhere from 250 to 1,000 milligrams. It can be done 1 to 3 times a week, and when you pair it with training, it's one of the most noticeable interventions you can use. Let's break this down. What carnitine actually does in your body? Why is it matter for testosterone, fat metabolism, and energy? Oral versus injectable, why the form does actually matter. And finally, to use it, who is it for, and what to avoid. So why does this matter in training? There comes a point where results stall, whether it's fat loss, strength gains, or muscle building. This is known as the plateau. That's when carnitine can serve as a catalyst, not because it replaces energy, but because it supports the body's energy systems at a deeper level. When your workouts demand more output, but your body can't keep up, carnitine helps bridge that gap. It sharpens your metabolic efficiency, improves recovery, and may even support hormonal signaling pathways, helping you break through and level up. The questions I get in practice are: isn't carnitine just for fat burning? What does carnitine actually do inside your body? Is oral carnitine effective or do you need injections? Who should use carnitine and when? And what are the downsides or side effects? Carnitine's primary job is helping your body turn fat into energy. It does this by moving the long chain fatty acids into the mitochondria, the tiny power stations inside of your cells, when they can then be burned as fuel. This is kind of trying to Uber your way to a destination, but no driver ever shows up. Carnitine is the driver. It picks up the fat, your fuel, gets it into your cell's engine, the mitochondria, and keeps the whole system running efficiently. Without it, your body has the fuel, but no way to use it, especially when you're training or pushing yourself hard. But energy production is just the beginning. Carnitine also helps remove leftover waste from these cellular engines and reducing fatigue and improving recovery. There's also early research suggesting that carnitine may increase the number of androgen receptor sensitivity in the muscle tissue, which could make testosterone, both natural or supplemented, work more effectively. For men on TRT or optimizing naturally, this is a big deal. Now let's talk about oral versus injectable. Let's talk about how you actually take carnitine, because the form matters more than most people think. Oral carnitine does work, but like most things in nutrition, it's about finding what fits for you. One of the most widely available options is liquid L-carnitine, and a brand that I personally like, no affiliations, is Now Foods Liquid L-carnitine, the 3,000 milligram one. It's convenient, well dosed, and great for those looking for a non-injectable option. That said, it's not as easy on the stomach though. And at doses over 2 grams, most people experience loose stools and mild GI upset. And that occasional fishy odor? That's caused by a compound called TMAO. It's a byproduct formed when the gut bacteria break down carnitine. It's more commonly seen with the oral uses, though. That said, among the oral options, liquid forms like Now Foods L-carnitine tend to have better absorption and higher bioavailability compared to capsules. This makes them more effective in delivering a clinically meaningful dose, especially when taken consistently around training. Capsules are generally easier to tolerate, but often contain lower doses, which may not hit the threshold needed for noticeable benefit. Plus, the absorption rate, it can vary widely depending on your gut health, timing, and when you actually eat with it. Now let's talk about my favorite, injectable L-carnitine. This bypasses the digestive tract entirely. It goes straight into the circulation, avoiding the gut breakdown and allowing for faster and more noticeable effects, especially taken as a pre-workout. This is due to something called first-pass metabolism. When you take something orally, it has to go through the stomach and then the liver before it reaches the bloodstream. That process can break down and reduce how much of the compound is actively available to your body. With oral carnitine, you often need doses around 2 to 4 grams just to hit a therapeutic dose. With the injectable form, you can bypass this entirely, which means you can get the same effect, if not greater, with 250 to 1,000 milligrams, depending on the individual's response and training goals. That's why I use it so frequently in practice. It's reliable, well tolerated, and delivers a clear performance and recovery benefit without the GI side effects. For guys serious about training, injectable L-carnitine becomes less about taking a supplement and more about supporting performance, like tuning a car engine to squeeze out every bit of horsepower with the least amount of waste. Next question, how I use it in practice. L-carnitine has become a go-to tool in my practice for men who are already doing the work, like training, eating well, managing stress, but still feel like they've kind of just hit a wall. Sometimes that wall looks like it's stalled fat loss, slow recovery, or just not getting the same return out of their workouts. In this case, it's not about getting back to the basics. It's about strategically supporting the body's energy systems to break through that plateau. Think of it like this. You've built the car, tuned the engine, but now you're looking to fine tune the performance for the next race. That's where L-carnitine steps in. I use it with patients pushing for that next level. Guys with demanding lives, not wives, intense training schedules, or ambitious body composition goals. It's rarely the first tool that I reach for, but when timing and context are right, it can be the missing piece that takes performance from good to great. Side effects and dosing. So we've talked about this before, but we're going to recap it. Oral carnitine, especially in the higher doses, from the 2 to 4 grams, can lead to loose stools or fishy body odor. Again, that odor comes from that compound, the TMAO, that's produced when you have gut bacteria breaking down carnitine in the digestive tract. Now, these side effects are more common with the oral forms, particularly liquid, but are largely avoided by injectables. This has to do with something called that first pass metabolism. When you take something that's oral, it has to pass through the digestive system to your liver before reaching systemic circulation. That process reduces how much of the active compound is actually available to your body. That's why you often need to take higher doses to get noticeable effects. In contrast, injectable carnitine bypasses the entire route and enters directly into the bloodstream, allowing for much lower doses to deliver stronger and faster results. In practice, I'll often dose L-carnitine IM 1 to 3 times per week before workouts for patients who have sensitive stomachs. For the oral or liquid carnitine, especially on higher doses, splitting the dose before and after workout can improve tolerance and absorption. This is particularly helpful for patients with sensitive stomachs. However, for injections, I keep it a single pre-workout dose. Little fun fact, acetyl L-carnitine as a different form that is often used for cognitive and mood support, especially in neuroprotective protocols. But when it comes to athletic performance, metabolic output, and recovery, L-carnitine is my go-to tool for performance. It's one of those most reliable agents that I've used to support mitochondrial function, endurance, and recovery in men who are already doing the work and want to push further. In my practice, I often use customized injectable blends that combine L-carnitine with methyl B12 and NAD. This combo works amazing for patients as a pre-workout support, mitochondrial health, and cellular energy. For patients pushing harder in the gym or looking to break through performance plateaus, this trio creates a fast-acting synergy that's hard to beat. L-carnitine plays the anchor role in the formulation. It's a piece that enhances the fatty acid oxidation. It drives muscular endurance and can indirectly support hormonal balance by improving how efficiently your cells produce and use energy, especially in the tissues that are sensitive to hormone signaling, like the muscle and the brain. So while acetyl L-carnitine has its place in cognitive medicine, standard L-carnitine is what I reach for in performance protocols. So no, carnitine isn't just a fat burner. It's a clinically underutilized amino acid that helps your body burn fuel smarter, also train harder, and possibly even signal testosterone better, which is a fun rabbit hole to go down. But if you're already locked in the fundamentals, training consistently, eating with purpose, and taking the recovery seriously, but feel like the performance isn't quite clicking the way that it should, then that's when carnitine might be the next level tool that pushes the needle forward. Now, if you want help dialing this in and building a real optimization plan, book a call. Let's go from good to great. Catch you on the next one.